For a brand new mobile game, NIKKE has a lot of interesting characters that we can get to know throughout our time playing through the story. However, there are certain groups of characters that are a bit more elusive than others. We probably have the most information on characters like Neon, Rappy, and Amidst, but there are a group of characters that exist that we pretty much know no information on, and today I wanted to take a little bit of time to dive into that specific set group. If you played decently through the story around chapter 5 and 6, then you'll know who the Pilgrims are, and who Snow White is too. We're going to be diving a bit more into her character in particular and everything we know thus far about the Pilgrims. Being an avid player of NIKKE myself, playing since launch, I will preface this video by saying we, again, don't know too much about the Pilgrims. There's not much information on them up until chapter 10, which I'm currently stuck on for the time being. So, we have bare bones knowledge about most of their existence. For those of you who are new to the story of NIKKE, in this world, humanity has been overrun by creatures referred to as raptures. Decades ago, humanity was forcibly driven underground and created a mass civilization known as the Ark, where currently all of humanity resides today. Several companies sprouted from these groups, including Missilus, Tetra, and Elysian, and together, they created a chain of humanoids known as NIKKE to combat the Rapture invasion. As we learn throughout the story, despite these three organizations existing in current day, there is one group of NIKKE that roam the surface world overrun by the Raptures. This group, as I said before, is referred to as the Pilgrims. Specifically in this video, we're going to be pulling information we received from Snow White early on in the game, mainly referring to chapters 5 through 7. The Pilgrims are a small group of wanderers who have spent their time on the surface for years or sometimes decades, ever since the first war against the Raptures. In Snow White's case, she has roamed the surface seemingly alone while trying to complete her objective of returning the surface to its rightful owners, that being humanity. For Snow White, we know that she's tracking down an antagonist only known as the Queen, and we also see that she has a grudge against Chatterbox and always seems to swoop in to save us whenever we have an encounter with him. Snow White herself, much like any pilgrim, is very elusive, and she can cover her tracks fairly well and appear and vanish at a moment's notice. The one thing that intrigues me with this character, and all pilgrims for that matter, are their origins. It's clear that not all pilgrims originated from the same place, considering the fact that there are two separate groups of pilgrims if you look in the Wikipedia. We have the Pioneers, who are Snow White, Rapunzel, and Scarlet. And then we have the Inherit, who are Isabel, Haran, and Noah. The only visual difference between these two are the fact that the Inherit seem to have more technologically advanced equipment than the Pioneers. Perhaps they're more modern versions of NIKKE, maybe deriving off the Heretic's design or the entirety of the Rapture's design as well. We do know that, at least in Snow White's case, she has been combating the Rapture since the very first invasion on humanity all those decades ago. As for Scarlet and Rapunzel, we don't know too much about them as they've yet to appear in the story, at least to the point where I'm at, and if there's any information about them in their episodes, I have yet to see those as well. One thing that we can say for certain is that it is clear they also want no involvement with the Ark or the central government, despite being hyper aware of its existence. Even being requested personally by us to return, were instantly denied under the guise of Snow White's mission being yet unfulfilled. One more thing I'd like to bring up is that unlike NIKKE's of current day, Snow White, along with the other pilgrims, appear to have far greater technology and fighting capabilities. For Snow White in particular, since she's the only benchmark that we can really go off of, her set of weapons, nicknamed the Seven Dwarves, appears far greater in power to anything we've seen other NIKKEs able to do in the story thus far, excluding the Heretics. Both in her multiple encounters with Chatterbox and in her character PV, we've seen the full destructive power she possesses, and this is theorized to be Snow White in a severely damaged state. As Snow White said when we first encountered her, it is difficult for her to repair herself along the way, being above on the surface for so long. According to the NIKKE wiki, Snow White's current operational weapons are Seven Dwarfs 1, 5, and 6, being her charge shot used in her burst, and the large high caliber gun that she uses in her normal attacks. The final weapons, which are speculated to be either inoperable or destroyed, are Seven Dwarfs 2 through 4 and 7, displayed on her idle animation with the large revolver and the large missile-like equipment on her back too. It is obvious that these Nikkes, those during Snow White's time at least, were far more capable than the Nikkes of today. And my only question is, why? What happened in the years that came to reduce Nikkes from this being Snow White's standard to ground soldiers such as the cast we're familiar with today? I mean, sure, some of the squads are really powerful, like the ones that we follow in the main story, but we've seen nothing close to damage like Snow White's. Even the information on Pilgrims surviving on the surface, in some cases entirely alone, should be a testament to their raw power too. Throughout the entire story of Nikke, we're told of hundreds of Nikke who either go missing or are killed in action in combat. All the while, these solo fighters have survived decades alone with very minimal human interaction, sometimes with no human interaction at all. One thing that doesn't make sense to me is how able Nikkes like Snow White fell to the initial Rapture invasion, and how they were all nearly wiped out because of it. I'm really intrigued to see if the story will dive any deeper into this matter and if we'll get to meet the other Pilgrims, especially the Inherit, in future chapters to come. For those of you who have already passed through all of the chapters, meaning chapters 1 through 16, maybe this all was revealed later on, but right now I'm pretty level capped and I just wanted to share this video with all of you because Snow White really captivated my attention when I first started playing. In the coming weeks, we may learn more about Snow White as we further progress through the story, and some questions may be answered, while others may remain a mystery. For now, it's all left to speculation. If you're a fan of Nikke, let me know down in the comment section below if you have any other questions about the initial story, or if you have any characters you'd like to see a video on. So far, this game has been great for a new gacha, and I hope to see you all in the next video that I release on this game too. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Jane.